Hey there. Welcome to my channel. My name is Frank. I've been a certified public accountant for about 2 years now, at least at the time of this recording. I'm making this video because when I was just starting out, I had no clue what continuing professional education was. So if you're a new CPA or studying to be one, and you also have no idea what continuing professional education is, sit back, take a listen, and hopefully after 20-25 minutes or so, you'll have a much better understanding than I did when I was starting out. All right, question number one. What is CPE? Simply put, CPE stands for Continuing Professional Education. When you get licensed as a CPA, you're promising to keep your accounting knowledge current. And the way you demonstrate this is by taking 1 to 2 hour bite sized courses in accounting topics and then earning certificates that show that you took these courses. You then report these certificates to your state licensing body or to the AICPA. How much CPE do you need? Nowadays, it's pretty standard 40 credits a year or 80 credits in each 2 year reporting period. Some states, the reporting period goes from July through the end of June. Other states function on a calendar year system, as does the AICPA. If you're like me, here in the state of Michigan, we're on that split calendar between July and June. So I have to report to the state of Michigan at the end of June and to the AICPA at the end of December. How do you earn CPE? The easiest way, if you're working for a public accounting firm and it's large enough, they're going to provide those courses to you. It's going to be real easy. If you're not working for a public accounting firm, I would suggest signing up for your state membership body, such as here in Michigan, it's the MICPA, or with the AICPA. You're going to have access to a wealth of courses, whether they're webinars, seminars, in person activities, in person conferences, self study programs, things of that nature. You're going to pay anywhere between $40 to $80 a credit hour, but you're going to have access to just a wealth of material. And sometimes you can get bundle deals. Alternatively, there are a number of third parties out there that offer lower cost CPE courses, and many firms that offer free CPE courses. I've put some resources for free CPE courses and lower cost CPE courses in the description to this video. So if you're watching on a television, you might want to fire it up on your phone or on your PC browser so that you can access these links. And the big question, how do you keep track of it? Used to be you kept an Excel spreadsheet, you kept hold of these certificates, and you submitted them, as best you could at the end of the reporting period. These days, we're in the internet age. It's not difficult anymore. Usually, your state will have a website set up that you can submit your certificates and keep track of the credits as you earn them. Here in Michigan, they've actually contracted with the MICPA, who handles the tracking and the data keeping. And then at the end of each 2 year period, you just click a button and those results get reported to the state. The AICPA has its own tracking website, which I also enter items into. There are a lot of states that actually use the AICPA to do their tracking. So if that's your state, you're lucky. You're only going to have one site to enter things into. But by and large, you'll have a website or two that you can upload your certificates into and keep track. Personally, I would suggest, even if you use websites to do this, keep your certificates on your personal computer, keep them on your Google Drive in the cloud somewhere. You never know. It would be terrible if your state website was doing a renovation at some point and lost a few of your certificates. Just always nice to have a backup of a backup. We're accountants, you understand that. With all of that out of the way, I'm going to get into a couple of examples now. I'm going to show you a CPE certificate and how I enter it into my state website as well as into the AICPA's website. And once we get through that, I'll close with some final thoughts. So in this example, we have a pretty typical certificate of completion for a CPE course. You'll find that they all have the same elements: your name, the title of the course that you took, the date you completed the course, how many credits you received for it, and of course, the name of the company that ran the course or is certifying the credit. One of the things you're going to want to look for is this 6-digit number Usually it's in the lower left or lower right of the certificate. It's the sponsor ID number. Um, those tend to be optional, but I find it's better safe than sorry to enter them. So, with that said, let's go about entering in this certificate of completion. So, what I've got on screen right here is the AICPA's CPE tracker. As you can see, they're keeping track of both my AICPA requirement and my state of Michigan requirement. Because I mentioned previously, the AICPA for its membership has different CPE requirements and deadlines than my state does for my actual CPA license. And on the right here, they give you a handy graph to show you how many credits you've earned each month. You'll notice the state of Michigan is showing that I'm only 80% complete, but as we'll see when I get over to the state of Michigan website, that's not entirely accurate. So what I'm going to do here is go to external programs. And already there are a number of certificates and courses entered in here, which is how it built up the list that you saw. Entering CPE into the AICPA's tracker is pretty easy. You just need to click the Add External Program button. The first thing you should do is click the upload link to add your certificate. So we'll click Browse, we'll pick that certificate, and I'll add it to the list here. And then click Upload. It's going to take it a second. If you're on a modern browser, after you click Upload, it should appear in the list at the bottom. And it did. If you're on a browser where it doesn't appear in the list, what you need to do is click Save, back out, and then click Add External Program again, and then you'll be able to link to it. So with that, I will just click Save. And unfortunately, this certificate is not one that's in a standard format it recognizes. If it had been, it would have automatically populated some of these fields, but that's okay. I can go ahead and type in the information. Pretty much all of the program delivery formats these days are group internet based. There's not any in person CPE happening, at least not in the state of Michigan. The QAS number that's here, I've only ever received a certificate once that had a QAS number. So, pretty much as long as you have the 6-digit sponsor ID, you're good. You have a spot where you can enter notes if you want to. I think this one's pretty self explanatory. But if you ever wanted to add notes to yourself as to what your topics were for a particular course or seminar, you can. And again, if the certificate were formatted in a way that the AICPA website understood it, the amounts here would already be populated. But as we saw from the certificate, we know it's 1 credit of accounting. These fields, once you've signed up with AICPA and have told it that Michigan is your jurisdiction, it'll auto-populate these fields based upon the information you've already entered. So usually you don't have to change it. And then it gives you a final step to confirm your entry. And that's all you have to do to enter your CPE credit into the AICPA's tracker. I will say the AICPA's tracker is easy to enter things into, but it's not always the most accurate with regards to your state certification. So if your state syncs up with a calendar year and follows the same rules as the AICPA, then you should be fine. But the state of Michigan, our calendar year is different, and our carryover rules aren't implemented properly in the AICPA's website. So as you'll recall, where it said compliance status on the other screen here. Now I'm at 82% for Michigan. But now, as we switch over to the state of Michigan, if we look at my overview for the state of Michigan, I haven't entered that one in yet, but because of carryover, which I mentioned previously, uh, I only need 2 hours of CPE left to satisfy the requirement between July of this year and June of next year. When in doubt, if you have a state reporting requirement to meet, I would definitely focus on your state's CPE tracker for recording and reporting that information. Like I said, the AICPA, they're accurate for their needs, but unless they're actually handling your state reporting, you're going to want to use some other method to track your in state CPE. Thankfully, for those of us in the state of Michigan, my CPA makes that easy. So, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and click Add Course. And much like previously, I'm going to first add the certificate. You can't see the pop up box here, but I selected the certificate to add it. My CPA does not pick up any information from the certificate, so it all has to be entered manually. And of course, some of the old courses I've entered in are listed here, but not this one. Generally speaking, if you're doing a webinar or some sort of uh, mass presentation over the internet, you're going to choose group program. And it was 1 credit of accounting. A&A stands for accounting and auditing. Now it's optional, but on my state website, I always click show fields of study and make sure to select them. And I always do the show additional fields so I can enter in the sponsor ID. And as you can see, I've entered in a lot of CPE certificates this year. It's optional to enter in the instructors. I'm not going to do that at this moment. As you can see, you can also select options such as penalty hours or relicensure hours. As a new CPA, you're not going to have to worry about that. And as a CPA who keeps up with the CPE requirements, you're not going to need to worry about those either. However, if you don't earn enough CPE in your 2 year reporting period, you might have to do additional hours, which are penalty hours. Likewise, if you've been lapsed as a CPA for some time, they might require you to take a certain amount of CPE to get your license back, and that's what the relicensure hours is for. And again, there's another notes field here. I'm going to ignore that and click submit. All right, and here we are back on the overview page. As you can see, my remaining hours has gone from 2 to 1, reflecting the fact that I only need to get 1 more hour of CPE in before the end of the next reporting period here. I will say that the odds are I'm going to get a lot more CPE courses in before then. But as I mentioned previously, any of those excess hours can be carried over with some limitations. And with that, I'm going to wrap things up, give you some final thoughts, and hopefully get you on your merry way. All right. Hopefully, you found that example informative. Uh, I'd just like to wrap this up here real quick with a couple of final thoughts. The first of which is to mind the grace. And what I mean by that is when you're a new CPA, they're going to give you a grace period before you need to start earning CPE credit. Usually it's your first year. I would suggest cutting that in half, splitting the difference. Go ahead and take it easy your first 6 months as a CPA, but spend that last 6 months trying to rack up a few CPE credits. You're going to end up carrying them all over to the next year, but that'll really give you an awesome head start. Yeah, if you can pick up like say 10, 20 CPE credits in that time frame, you're going to be golden. My other suggestion kind of goes right along with that. Go ahead and overachieve. It's not like taking too much CPE is a bad thing. You're going to rack up plenty of credits to carry over. Some jurisdictions might limit you to, say, 20 credits of carryover for accounting and auditing, maybe even less than that. You're going to want to check into the rules on that. But apart from that, earn as many credits as you can. You can carry them over. And worst comes to worst, if you can't, well, then you've got new knowledge that you can add to your skill set. It's never a bad idea to know as much as possible when you're in this profession. So, with that, I'm pretty much done. If you've reached the end of this video, hopefully you understand a lot more about CPE than you did coming in. If you still have questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to respond. Until then, see ya!